Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, my name is Haley.
And my name's Tommy.
Even if you're not new here,
yeah, you may need a reminder because it's been a while.
It's been a little while.
Yeah.
So we wanted to make a video today to remind you that we exist.
Yes, just a refresher. Yeah, like we're still alive. I'm gonna hold up today's paper.
We are, honestly, yeah, with the date on it.
Yeah.
So we also wanted to give you a little update, so just like a kind of channel update, what we've been up to.
Yeah.
We haven't put a video out in a little while, so we just wanted to touch base with you and tell you what you can expect in the future.
For sure.
So it is Tuesday the 17th, and we just got back from Disney on Saturday.
Yes.
So we're going to give you a little bit of a trip rundown as well. So if you are going to Disney or thinking about booking a trip, I would sit tight for this video. We're going to kind of go like how we felt, what it was like, crowd levels, and things like that.
Yeah, just some general things to expect. Because I didn't expect it to be super different, as crazy as that sounds. And it is not super, super different, but it's pretty different in some key ways.
Yes, and I think that like if your big trip is Disney, if it's a huge expense, not something that you do very often, I don't know that this is the time to go, but we wanted to give you a little bit of an insight and let you make that decision based off our experiences.
Yeah, just share our experiences, exactly.
So we're going to dive right into what our trip experience was. We booked this trip and it was only supposed to be a couple of days.
Yeah.
So we originally booked and we flew out on a Thursday and we were supposed to return on Wednesday.
Yeah, like midday Wednesday, later in the afternoon Wednesday.
But we will get in later into the video why we are saying we're supposed to.
Yes.
So, what did you think about flying?
I mean, flying is kind of what I expected. I know that they had been like pretty lax in terms of like the enforced social distancing and stuff like that. So we were on a pretty crowded flight, not super crowded, but more crowded than you would expect, especially if you're only sort of trips to public has been like the grocery store,
right,
where everything
if you've
is, like,
been very, very isolated
exactly.
since quarantine started.
And I know there's like studies that the air on airplanes is some of like the cleanest air you can have, like as crazy as that sounds, because it's so recycled and it's so filtered.
And they're used to recycling air because they have so many people in such a confined space that their air quality control, I think, is a little bit higher than most places.
The standards are way higher than, say, a restaurant because, you know, you're a mile in the air or whatever.
Right. So we did fly Southwest from Philadelphia to Orlando, and Southwest is still, as of when we flew out, was not filling the middle seat. I think it has since changed.
Yeah.
I think in the end of November, so in a couple days, they're changing to filling every seat, because I think Southwest is actually might be the only airline that is still leaving one seat empty. So it was nice because on Southwest you don't have assigned seats, so we got to pick a row and we had the whole row because there was nobody in the middle seat.
Yeah, there was no concern of anybody sitting in the middle seat. We knew we had the whole row to ourselves.
So it was a little bit less concerning, I feel like, knowing that there was only going to be 1/3 less of the passengers because every middle seat is not filled. It was pretty much
guaranteed, we'd be in a row by ourselves.
Yeah, so as far as the flight goes, I didn't think it was bad.
No.
We managed to miss our flight.
Yeah.
So we got to the airport in Philadelphia super duper early, had some beers, had some food, and then for some reason, I guess we had just not flown super often recently, and I think it was like a false sense of comfort.
Yeah.
Because the airport was so empty.
Yeah. There's not a lot of people by the gate. There was no like real announcements. There's usually people loading like the very last minute.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that happened.
So we missed the flight, and we ended up getting to Orlando a couple hours late because we went from a direct flight to a connecting through Nashville. But we got to Disney that Wednesday.
Yep.
We stayed at the Hilton Grand Vacation Club Tuscany.
Yeah.
For the first leg of our trip. So we stayed there. My mom has a timeshare, which is really nice for us because we get gifted that room. That's usually my birthday gift, which is awesome.
Yeah, it saves a huge expense when going down to Orlando.
And they usually have a bus that runs from the hotel to the parks for about $10 per person a day. It'll get you there and back, which is definitely cheaper than an Uber, as long as you have 2 or less people.
Yeah.
I think once you start getting into 3 or 4 people who have to pay $10 each, it's probably the same amount to just get an Uber.
Just get an Uber.
Exactly. But we stayed there. The hotel was great, super cleanly. Definitely observed physical distancing. Everybody wore a mask.
Yeah.
Not much to say about the hotel. It was a hotel. We don't spend a whole lot of time there.
It's true.
So then we went, and the next day on Friday, it was our first day in the parks.
Yes.
So we started our trip with Magic Kingdom because there's no other way to start a Disney trip than to see the castle.
For sure.
I guess we should talk about lines, COVID conscious social distancing bits.
Sure.
So I thought, I was super duper surprised. I don't know what it's like in your area, but going to the grocery store, like there's people whose masks are down here. There's people who don't have it on at all. There's people who feel the need to take it off every time they make a phone call. Like
I would say most people wear masks, but not all of those people wear their mask correctly or wear it consistently. Like I said, a majority of people wear masks like normal people.
For sure.
You can't go out, to the mall or to
without
the grocery
seeing
store
somebody that's not following the rules 100%.
Yeah, a handful of people doing something that they're not technically supposed to be doing.
But we talked a lot about it on the trip that when we were in the parks or at Disney Springs, anywhere on property, and even in the whole of Orlando, I didn't see anybody who was wearing their mask really incorrectly or not wearing one
we
or
saw
not.
Maybe like 5 to 10 people the entire trip. And considering the amount of people that we were like around really at the parks and at Disney Springs, and even at the resorts,
it's such a small percentage of people that we
pretty
saw.
Impressive because it was a very, very small percentage of people.
And then I said to him, like, I don't really know, because Disney does make announcements throughout the day that if you're not wearing your mask correctly, you will be asked to leave. So I was curious as to if that actually happened. Yeah. And that's why we were seeing only people who were wearing their masks correctly, because the people who were not have already been asked in a very Disney way to leave the park.
Yeah, it's hard to know whether that's the result of people just following the rules or the people who don't follow the rules being asked to leave the premises.
But either way,
yeah, if mask wearing is like a big sticking point for you, I can say that there weren't many people at all not wearing their masks completely correctly.
And then I'm sure, as you know, if you've watched any vlogs, in order to eat or drink, you do have to be stationary.
Yeah.
So that is actually the one thing I saw that people were doing most often, is because they feel like, oh, if I take my mask off, I can eat. They kind of got around the mask rule, because they thought if they're walking and eating, then they can take their mask off. But I saw a couple,
especially in longer lines and stuff like that.
And even just through the parks. And I saw it more at Magic Kingdom because I think they have little ones and they're trying to get from place to place.
Yeah.
But I did see a couple cast members stop families, and even ones, because if your child is 3 or over, they're required to wear a mask.
Yes.
And so I did see them stop. Like, one family definitely thought they were getting around the rules with their little ones and got them 2 huge lollipops for the day. And because I think they thought, oh, they're eating, they don't need to wear their mask, I don't have to argue with them about the mask. And a cast member immediately stopped and said, if they're going to be licking that lollipop, they need to be sitting down and stationary.
Or standing in the corner or something like that,
But as far as COVID felt, it was great.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's different in terms of what they're comfortable with. We're a little bit more relaxed in terms of...
For ourselves. When we return home, we definitely keep our circle really small.
Exactly.
We make sure that we don't interact with anybody has any of the risk factors, just because we are pretty confident that we'll be okay. We definitely don't want to make anybody else ever at risk because of the decisions that we're making.
That's exactly right, yeah. In terms of our concern about actually contracting it, we assume the risk when we're going to a theme park.
Exactly.
But yeah, as sort of well structured and as safe that you could feel, I think, when you're in that sort of environment.
100%.
I think that you did.
I think that as a rule of thumb, I felt more safe COVID-wise there than I do even like at Target or the grocery store or the mall and things like that. Like, there's definitely, they have the Disney way. They go and they make sure that everything is getting done and the rules are being enforced, which is good.
Yeah, everyone was really good about standing 6 feet apart in line, all that stuff.
Yes. So when we got down there, they had extended the hours, so we can talk about that next, because that is something that COVID does affect, is the park hours.
Yeah.
So when we booked our tickets, the hours were really small. So I think that Hollywood Studios was 11 to Epcot was 11 to 7, and that got extended while we were down there to 11 to 9 p.m.
11 to 10 p.m.
11 to 10 p.m. on the weekends. Yep.
On the weekends,
and so some of the hours got extended, which definitely helped because we're usually park hopper people.
Yeah.
And so this time there's no park hoppers, so we spent all of our days at one park. You do need to get a park reservation once you book your tickets.
Yeah.
And I do know that Hollywood Studios sells out.
Yes, Hollywood Studios sells out pretty consistently.
Magic Kingdom around the holidays
and the weekends
seems to be selling out a little bit more. And
Yeah.
Epcot, because it's Food and Wine Festival right now,
Yeah.
they were at capacity the weekend that we were there.
Yes.
So
the Saturday we were there. Yeah.
I would definitely say as soon as you can settle on the park that you want to go to for the day, lock it in if it is going to be Hollywood Studios.
Yeah, especially over the weekends. If you have days that you're going to be there over the weekends, I would try and figure that out as soon as possible. The weekdays, I mean, we were able to grab Magic Kingdom the day before on like a Thursday or something, or a Wednesday or something like that with no problem. But if it's going to be over the weekend or it's going to be like a big holiday, like you said, I would definitely recommend
you have to plan it out.
Figuring that out as soon as possible.
And I do want to touch on that too, because the park reservation system, I could definitely tell a difference. So we went to Epcot 2 different days, and I could tell a difference for the day that there was no passes left and the day that it was at capacity.
For sure.
So
For sure.
the second day we were down there was a Saturday, and we went to Epcot for Food and Wine. Our friends were with us. You'll see those in the vlogs later. But we went, and it was packed.
Yeah,
the busiest Epcot I've ever experienced.
Really crowded, yeah.
So we started in Mexico, which was probably not a great move, but we wanted to get a margarita to start. There are 3 different lines. You can get in line for the restaurant, you can get in line for just the margarita booth, and then there's the actual Mexico Food and Wine Pavilion.
Yes.
And I would say each line had probably 40 people in it.
Yeah, they were all very long. So
it was
not
super
even like
duper
you could
long.
get one that was significantly shorter. They were all of very long length.
And throughout the day, those crowds eased up. Wait times weren't anything, I don't think, more at all than normal times.
They were pretty standard, I thought,
and
which was
then
surprising.
I think that some of them were a little bit shorter, but the big rides, the rides like Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, Slinky Dog,
the new rides, yeah, like Mickey and Minnie's
Runaway Railway,
those
they
are
were,
all, as advertised, 65 to 85 minutes, sometimes even higher.
they were the length that they were going to be no matter what. And so I think that felt super normal because you had to kind of make a decision about what lines you were going to wait in.
Yeah.
But then at Magic Kingdom, some of the lines were really short. Like Peter Pan's Flight was an average, I would say, every time we looked at it, like 25 to 35 minutes, which is very, very short for that ride.
And the wait times fluctuated a lot, so it was really just a matter of seeing, since the park capacity is so reduced, I think that people sort of just move around from ride to ride, so you kind of have to check to see what ride the crowds are at and which one they just left or they haven't gotten to yet, and I think that's the best way to sort of navigate the wait times.
Yeah, and I know I watched a lot of the vlogs from when the parks just reopened and the wait times were nothing. That is not what you're getting right now.
Yeah, it's not like that. Yeah,
it's pretty similar to what you would get in a typical Disney park trip.
Some of the more maybe middle tier in terms of waiting rides were maybe a little bit less, but the ones that you are used to waiting for, you're going to have to wait for.
Yeah. And then the last thing I do want to talk about capacity and wait time, nobody goes to Animal Kingdom right now.
It's true. Yeah.
No one.
It's true.
So when we were there, it did have a pretty short hours. It was a work day. 9 to 5 were the times that it was open.
It was 9 to 5, yeah.
Yep. And so I think that may be a decision, because if you're paying for a park day, you pay for a ticket no matter what park you go to.
Yeah, you'd rather get 11 hours or whatever.
Exactly. But we love Animal Kingdom, and I think Dinosaur was a walk-on. Everest was a walk-on. Yep. Flight of Passage, we waited 25 minutes, which was essentially a walk-on.
Yep.
We didn't have to wait in the queue at all.
No.
Navi River Journey we hit at the end, and that surprisingly, the whole time we were there, had the same wait time, if not more, than Flight of Passage.
Yeah, I don't know if it's in terms of loading the ride vehicles or what it was, but yeah, Navi, it was a little bit higher or at the same sort of length as Flight of Passage, but none of them are too bad.
No, and if you were looking for a park that you want to go to that is not going to be busy, so if you want to get your Disney fix in, I would suggest booking Animal Kingdom.
Yeah, and now the hours are extended by a couple hours, so you get even more time.
At least on the weekends they are, because I think they've changed on the weekdays. But as far as park capacity, COVID friendly, I felt super safe. I didn't feel, we aren't really into character meet and greets. So if that's something that you rely on for your trip, I think you'll miss the magic a little bit there.
Yeah.
Because they do have cavalcades now instead of parades, but they're essentially just parades. They're just short.
Short parades, yeah.
But they come around one after the other, so it's still kind of like a parade, and everybody has to move out of the path. So I get what Disney's trying to do there, because they don't want people congregating.
Yeah.
But people congregate.
Yeah.
It is what it is, exactly. But the cavalcades did a really nice job. when we were there, they had the Christmas one in Magic Kingdom because we showed up when Christmas started, which is November 6th this year. So we showed up and they had all the princesses in their dresses. They had Santa. They had Clarabelle making cookies. So some of the same floats that you would see in the Christmas time parades and at the Christmas party, we got to see while we were there.
Yeah, just split into different, smaller little trains, I guess.
And then the Animal Kingdom Cavalcade was our favorite.
Yeah.
So they have the characters riding around on boats, so you get to see them going through.
Yeah.
They also have Santa, and
he
was the coolest Santa ever.
He was a very good Santa. I don't know if it's the same Santa. I'm sure it probably is, but he's a good Santa.
He is. He's a funny Santa.
Yeah.
So that we did a lot of waiting around and sitting and seeing them because it kind of brought some of the magic back, but there are no character meet and greets at all. Hollywood Studios does a couple socially distant selfie situations where there's dots on the ground and Santa Stitch or Santa Buzz will be behind you.
Yeah.
Where the Incredibles dance party usually is.
Yeah.
And so right there in Tomorrowland, you can take some socially distant selfies with those characters. And then sometimes in Epcot, they have them roaming through the grass and things like that.
Yeah, they try and get, the characters out as much as they can.
Yeah.
And
the Dapper Dans are out in Magic Kingdom and things like that.
Yeah.
But if that's a big part of it, I think that you'll probably miss a little bit of the magic there.
For sure.
So we've been trying to rack our brains to make sure that we're giving you all of the information that we think we would have wanted before we planned this trip.
We tried to touch on everything, but I'm sure there's something that is super important that we forgot about. But.
Yes. But I guess we should touch on why we were saying our trip was originally planned, and then so real quick, we will let you guys know that.
Loop back to the beginning.
Yeah. So right now I am teaching completely remotely, which it looks like it's going to change, but who knows with the health metrics and everything coming up lately. But because of that, all of my responsibilities are online, which is really nice. And Tommy actually took all of the days off, except for one.
Yeah, except for the Friday.
He was supposed to go back to work for Friday. Tuesday we were sitting at Hollywood Studios, kind of bopping around, trying to find what treats we want to have before we leave.
Yeah, we were able to hit all the big rides, and we were kind of just
getting a little bit sad about getting on the plane tomorrow, making sure that we have everything checked in. And we're sitting there, and he looks at me and says, "I'm not ready to leave. Do you want to stay?" I was like, "Who are you?" Of course I want to stay. And so I remembered that Disney had sent us a little bit of a deal on some hotels.
Promotional prices on some, resorts.
And we didn't end up using them for this trip. So I went back in my email. They were still good. Tommy called American Airlines. We were able to get our flights moved back, and they actually refunded us money back for the flights.
Yeah, our first flights were $60 each, and these new ones were $38 or something crazy.
So we were able to book a flight to come home rather than coming home on Wednesday.
Yes.
We were able to come home on Saturday.
Yep.
So we ended up extending our stay. We got to stay at Pop Century, which we always did want to stay on the Skyliner route.
Yeah.
So that was a super awesome.
It is awesome.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
It's definitely worth it.
Yeah.
All of that stuff is going to be coming out in the vlogs once we figure out how to get them edited.
Eventually. Yeah, we're going to try to get them out as soon as possible, but no promises. We just have a week, 8 days worth of footage.
Yeah.
We don't really know what to do with it. We don't know if it's usable. We don't really
have
know.
no idea.
Yeah, so that is a work in progress, but we'll try and keep everyone posted.
Yes. So we ended up staying for instead of going home Wednesday, we stayed Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then left Saturday.
Yeah,
so we did how many park days? 2 other park days.
We did Magic Kingdom on Wednesday, and then we did Epcot on the Friday before we left.
Yep, and then we did Disney Springs on the other days in there.
Yeah.
So those will be coming out, but it was awesome to be able to extend our stay.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of an upside as far as this whole COVID stuff goes, is that if this were a regular time, I would be back in the classroom the next day, and I could teach and do all of my meetings and responsibilities from our hotel room. And then when the school day ended, I turned my computer off and then got on the Skyliner and went to Epcot.
Yeah, so it's a little bit more flexible, which was nice.
Yeah. But we want to make sure that we give you guys any advice that we have, which we tried to in this long rambling video that we just gave to you. But if we missed anything or you have any specific questions, leave them down below.
Yeah, and we'll do our best to get back to you with the most detailed answer we can.
Yeah, and we can chat and talk about it. Yeah. We're by no means experts on traveling during COVID, but
no, not at all.
Now that we've done it, we have a little more insight than a lot of people. Which
and there could be stuff that we're curious about before the trip, and now that we've gone, we just don't think about it. So if there's anything, you are interested in, or any questions you have, feel free to let us know, and we'll try and get back to you with the answers you seek.
Yep. So we are back. We're back on our YouTube grind.
Yes.
We have some videos coming out actually very soon. On Thursday, we have a super duper fun Friendsgiving video that's coming out.
Well, this is going to be posted on Wednesday, so it'll be tomorrow.
It will be.
Come back here tomorrow.
It will be.
And we'll have a super fun Friendsgiving video for you.
And then we have a Christmas swap going on.
Yep.
We've got a Disney haul. And then as soon as I can figure out what software to edit on, because now I got rid of my Mac and we got a new computer, so everything is new. I mean, a new camera. So if you have any advice on editing software that is not on a Mac, let your girl know, because I want to get those vlogs out to you so you can see all of the magic of Disney.
Yeah, but like you said, we have all the stuff we bought at Disney. We have some cool swaps and stuff with some of our friends coming out. So definitely stick around for that. We promise we won't disappear for like a month like we just did.
Honestly. But as always, guys, thank you guys so much for sticking with us even though we disappear.
Yes, thanks for still being here.
We appreciate you. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this, make sure you give it a thumbs up. If you want to see our vlogs, make sure you hit that subscribe button.
Thanks for hanging out with us, y'all.
See ya.
Bye.